Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Alright, let's see. Is it they got me cruising now? I think so. Yeah, look at that. So they got me all cruising here. Alrighty. Alright, so today I got a couple of things for you guys. First off, the top of the vertical thing, you know, I really don't understand what is happening, to be completely honest. I think what's happened is that I'm using sources or scenes, right, to produce like me standing here. Like these are preset. So what I think I got to do is I got to make whole new ones, because what happens is when I try to switch my scenes, right, because I wanted to have different angles of seeing the actual wheel, you know, I wanted to have all those different angles, and the biggest problem I was running into was that when I switched the screen or the scene on the main recording, it would not switch the scene here as you see me now, it would switch the scene over there, and I was just like, oh, come on, man. It's just really annoying. But you know, I think that's just kind of how like life is when it comes to these sort of things. So I think realistically I don't have time to fuss around with it today, so I'm just gonna keep on chugging along here, and maybe it'll be a problem for tomorrow, Pottery Demon. But yeah, you know, we just are going through it, and we're just gonna keep on moving forward. So I'll see you guys over there in a second. All right. What's the thing again? Oh yeah, let's wheel. There we go, guys. So again, you know, you can see me up here. I have one more camera that I want to get, is a webcam, so then that you guys could see what's going on the actual like what I'm doing, like what I look like as I'm moving around the space. And so I think that will be one of the camera angles I need to get. And then I also want to get my iPad working as a drawing device, so I can just draw while I make my stuff here. Again, our clay's getting a little bit stiff, so we got to be pretty responsible with watering our clay today. A little dehydrated. All right, so here we are. We got our little spray bottle here, and we always gotta, you know, how do we get in there? There we go. You always gotta spray down the clay. Get a little bit of water, some agua. You don't want it to dry out. Then pull the plastic over top of it. Push it down. There you go. Wet box complete. Well, it's a good thing that I swapped that one camera because it just cut off. So, but anyway, so we're gonna wedge some clay here, guys. Here we go. And again, when we're wedging the clay, this one right here, this is really stiff. And this also is probably like more like 3 pounds of clay. So this is gonna be a smaller tree. I can already feel that, right? And then we got this one over here. This one's gonna be more of like this is like a 4-pounder. How well can you guys see what I'm doing? I think you guys can see pretty good. Okay. So there we go. Look at that. Nice. Okie dokie. But I think once I make some new scenes and I make them in the vertical area instead of the new one, everything's gonna start coming together pretty nicely. And then I just need to save up probably another, I don't know, maybe like $500. And then I think like my set, it's just about moving and refining after that point. But then I think I got something like really strong cooking up here, guys. I think I'm pretty excited about it. And then I gotta see if I can stream on multiple websites at the same time. I also don't want to overpower my camera here, but I think realistically, if what's the word? I think realistically, if the I don't even know what it's called. Realistically, what? What am I even talking about, man? Realistically. Oh yeah, I don't think my computer can handle streaming multiple places, you know. I think YouTube is where I want to be anyway. Like I think YouTube's where it's at. And I always like had dreams when I was younger to do the YouTube thingy. So I think I want to do that, but sometimes I think the content that I'm making here is pretty, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think it's pretty high quality as far as we have up until here. You know, maybe that's going to be too much. We'll see in a second, though. Okay. But I think if I was to stream these things on like Instagram and stuff, I think they do pretty good because this is a pretty elaborate setup, especially for the pottery people. I think haven't seen stuff like what I'm doing here. Oh wait, I got a freaking Devin Bryant. Yeah, I don't know if you're still here, but dude, watch this. I got freaking voice commands. How do I say it? Oh yeah, goated 1. Wait, hold on. Goated 1. No. Right? Isn't that so crazy? All right. Oh, no audio on it? Are you kidding me? That's so depressing. There's literally no audio on it. I wonder if it's like if the audio was too low or something. It should have been playing. Whatever. We'll just keep on cruising. I have like, I was making like all these freaking video edits, and I don't know, they took me like a pretty long time because I throw every day, and so there was a while where I was trying to figure out, well, you know what, I'll make like some imagery of like some funk music and different types of music, and me just like kind of playing up my throwing. And now I'm like, oh dude, I can use those as like little mini commercial breaks and stuff. Yeah, we'll see. Dang, you know, just so you know, you're like my first person I've communicated with while I've been throwing ever. Like, this is kind of cool to me. Yeah, one of these days I'll get it working and cooked up pretty good, you know? But right now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get the bottom, you know, I don't trim the bottoms of these pots, so I'm just trying to get it pretty thin on the bottom, and then I gotta add my little spiral here. And then I always call this next pole, this is my goat, this is my llama. He said, what do you say? What, I'm the first? Yeah, I think, well, you're the first person I talked with as I've been like doing this. I think I've only done a couple of like live streams now, but yeah, I think some people tried to talk to me, but I didn't have the chat up, so now you're the first. So right now what I'm doing here is I'm pinning my knuckle like right at this bottom edge here. Oh wait, you know what, since you know, you might not be able to see, well, you know what, it's whatever. I wanted the battery's dead in this one thing, but like this spot right here, I have a green screen. Let's see if you can see it over there. So on that camera over there, I can like walk around on this front part. So it's kind of fun. But again, I got my knuckle and I'm just taking my finger up. And there's like a little bump. You can see this like little bump, and that's all I'm doing is I'm pushing it against my knuckle as I'm going upward to create this little vessel here, right? And so that first pole, it's not really about, you know, going too crazy with your throwing at the start, right? Like, you don't want to get height right at the beginning. Is what you want, is you want equal wall thickness, right? And so here I am pushing some of that clay down. I'm waiting for this little bump to arrive. And again, we got this nice little bump and we say hello. You know, we ask it how it's doing. And we always know that the bump, it just wants to go up to the top, right? And so there you go. Look at that. Dun, 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 dun. Nice. It's kind of cool to have a chat. Oh, wait, you said something again. Yo, I used to do this in school, but COVID happened, so you talking about it, about sick. Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, you know what's so funny is like I've started to learn that a lot of like schools and stuff, they don't have, or they have pottery as like a class that you can take. But for me, like that was never an option, and I didn't start pottery until I was in like undergraduate school, right? And here we go, we got another little throwing line here. So this is, like I said, this is 3 pounds of clay, so I gotta be a little bit more, you know, calm, cool and collected here. I don't wanna kind of ruin the pot. And so I always say like this is where people would just like close up the top and make some sort of little vase or something, right? But for me, like this is like where I start to come in, and this is like where my mentality, you know, comes through. And so what I do is I say, you know, I camp out at the bottom here and I just try to find a rhythm. And here we go. So and we just take this all the way up the side of the pot, right? And I call these like the veins. Right now I'm making 1,000 of these tree forms, right? And so you start with by making the veins, and what you're doing is you're causing places for it to want to collapse in, right? And so I'm going to push very slowly out, and you'll see it starts to want to be guided in there. And we slow it down, and look at that, we got our tree, right? And so for me, like, I'm not concerned with making pots that people have made, you know, for thousands and thousands of years. I want to just make like a whole entire new genre of pottery, right? And so here I am going down to the bottom here, and I gotta kick up, I call this the skirt of the tree at the bottom here. So that's pretty exciting. And I go, set a little bit of water on this edge, and I pull this up, right? And I don't want to go too much, and you got to be pretty careful when you go on this bottom part here, because very easily you can pull it way too thin. And then if I'm looking at this one I actually think I can cut it, so we always wipe our hands all over our pants. Dude, I wish I could show you. Wait, you have to tell me if this commercial is plays too. Okay, so I think it's Goated 4. So you can see here all those things in the background. That's like all my pots. And so this is some of my work, right? I don't know if you can. So let me see if you can actually hear this now. Let's see. Let's see. You should be able to hear this, man. Maybe not, but it's whatever. I don't know why I have it called Goated, by the way. That's me being like too much. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still no sound. Oh man, that's so sad. Cause man, like the thing is, still no sound. Oh man, I'll get it figured out one of these days. Do you got a store to sell them at? No. So that's like my biggest thing is like, I'm like the anti-potter, you know, like, I don't know if you know like Venom from like Spider-Man and stuff. Like, you know how Venom is like the anti-hero? I'm like the anti-potter, right? And so like most people when they do pottery, like their first inclination is to like, oh, I want to get an Etsy shop, I want to get a store, and I want to start selling my things, right? For me, it's like I'm always like I just take the opposite route usually in anything, right? And so for me, what my goal is, first I want to get a big following of people who, you know, like my work. And, you know, my work that I make isn't necessarily just about the objects, right? A lot of the work that I make is more about the mentality, right? Like to throw every single day and to make every single day and to like never finish the pots that I make, right? Like they're all just camping out in my room right now. Here's the first one, by the way. They're all just camping out in my room right now, not really doing a whole lot except just sitting there. But yeah, do I smash them? No, I don't smash them. Yeah, I just keep them in my room. One day they'll be fired, and I'm making 1,000 of these trees, and so I hope that one day I can have a whole room to the point where you can't even walk into the room. You know, like, I think that would just be like next level. And so we'll see how it goes, but like I think there's something that's kind of cool about not being able to enter the room or not knowing which of the pots is the best, except I know, right? But realistically, what I'm doing right now, it's more of a test than anything else, right? It's like I like the idea of like you got to sacrifice some of your sanity to like invest in yourself, you know? I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named David Goggins, but I'm a huge David Goggins guy. But David Goggins has like a lot of, like, people don't like him because he has gym bro energy. But, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Fire idea? Thanks. But David Goggins kind of has, like, a lot of people don't like him because he has gym bro energy, apparently. But me, like, I think that David Goggins and, like, the way that he looks at life is something that I want to take, and I want to bring it to like the pottery realm. And I hope that I can be like I don't know, I just hope that I can inspire at least like one person to get after it, you know? What did you say? Stay hard. Oh, dude, he knows. He knows. He knows. That's so funny. Okay. Anyway, we're going to open this up. And again, You know, I always thought that this, to me, you know, a lot of people will try to move this whole chunk, but you're not trying to move this whole chunk when you're throwing. Realistically, what you're trying to do is you're actually trying to cut into it. So you want to keep your fingers almost like hooked, right? And you want to have the pressure right on the tip of your finger, not on the pad of your finger, right? And then you'll feel that the clay just starts to like glide through because you're cutting through the clay, right? You're not, and if you're cutting along, imagine it's like a cake, you know, if you're cutting along that bottom line of that cake, right? Like the top parts of that cake is going to follow. It's not just going to sit there, right? So it's all about trying to cut through that clay so you don't have to use as much arm power, right? A lot of people think you need to be like a bodybuilder to have like so much strength to move the clay, especially with larger amounts, but not really, you know. I'm still working in the smaller realm of clay, but even with large amounts of clay, if your hands are in the right position, you'll be in a good spot here. But here I am pulling this up. Whoop. There we go. I got some hair in my mouth. Oh, that's so annoying. All right, let's get this out. I'm probably gonna get some clay in my mouth. Okay. All right, so we're gonna push this down underneath. Close this up just a little bit. Turn my finger around. Nice. Okay, so again, we're at the bottom of the pot here. We ask it, we say, hey, what do you got for me down here, you know? And the pot will say, hey, I got a little bump for you, right? And it's this little bump is you want to go pretty slow. And I always say it's kind of like a slug. You know, your hands are like a slug moving up the side of the pots here, right? A lot of people will burn through it, but realistically, you want to be pretty slow, consistent, and focused. And the clay will literally just glide up the side, right? I really like to think like, you know, we always, whenever you're working on the pot, or not on the pots, I guess working on the wheel, you are making pots, but whenever you're working on the wheel, you know, you're talking with the clay, but not like verbally. It's a non-verbal conversation that you have between yourself and the things that you're making, right? And so it's a very honest conversation because quite literally what you say is reflected on how the object turns out, right? And so there's no gaslighting yourself into thinking that you did a good job on the wheel, because it's a very simple thing. It's not like normal sculpture where, you know, there's so many different factors and what tools you use and how you squeeze your hand. I try to like minimize all the different factors when I'm working with an object. And so it becomes just a really nice, honest reflection of what you're doing on the wheel. Right? And so here we are getting some of that water out of that base. I do throw with a lot of water. That's something that like people have always said, like you throw with so much water. But I don't mind, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, up, 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 up. And whenever you go do one thing in ceramics, and if you keep doing it, you emphasize that thing, right? And so you can see in this middle part, I'm just trying to make it collapse in this middle part rather than on the top. We'll see how I did here in a second. Let me just slow down the wheel. Okay. Look at that. Oh, this one is freaking next level. All right, what'd you say? I sent your stream to my, I don't know what a GC is. Oh, group chat. Right? That's nice of you to do that. You know, this is like my thing. I'm not a good self-promoter. Like in all my videos that I've posted, I've never asked like, you know, like, subscribe or any of that stuff, because like for me, like somebody just watching it, like that's already enough for me. And I'm so confident that one day if I just keep on, you know, throwing my clay, that it will bring me something, you know. But thank you for doing that. That was nice of you. And you can see on this pot, like all these like nice little lines that are happening here. like to me, that just is like some hot stuff, you know? Like I'm a big fan of all those moments there. But, so here we go, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So always have a nice something little on that bottom of that skirt there, and we just pop that up, you know? Look at this. Somebody else said something. Let's see what they said. I need to get like I either need binoculars or something else. So somebody else asked, do I sell my pieces? No, I don't sell anything right now, but one day I will. But for right now, I'm just a solo collector of my own work. But here's this. Here's number 2. While I get the third one crunching away for you guys, I'll show you. Let's do, let's see, Goated 5. Goated 5. There we go. I want to see if I can get this sound working for you guys too. Come on. It says you guys should be hearing it. Properties. All right, here we go. I don't think you guys heard the audio on that one either. Nothing changed. That's okay. But somebody asked, how long can they sit? They can sit forever, right? And so that's like kind of the cool thing is like, well, it's also, so when you don't fire clay, it's gonna dry out, and they call that the bone dry phase. Actually, I can show you guys. If you look at the top camera up here, I can show you kind of over here. I got like my reclaim situation happening. And so you see I got a lot of I got my dry bins, and then what I'll do is I'll fill them up with water and some wet slurry too, and they'll get rehydrated, and then I have these big plaster circles that I made. And so I dry out the clay on there so I can reuse it. But while the clay is in that like brittle, you know, like the phase where it's like can break and crumble, you know, if I added water to that, it would turn back into clay. And so they can sit for forever, but I just got to make sure there's not a flood. You know what I mean? Like if there's a flood that happened, then I'm like toasted. Okay. So here I am, I'm pushing this down. And so this clay is kind of hard. So when it's really stiff, you know, that's like my fault. I left the clay out for a little bit too long when I was trying to, you know, sometimes the clay, when you buy it, it's really, really soft, and I hate throwing with soft clay. And so I just told myself, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to, what's the word? I'm just going to, like, dry it out, right? But sometimes when you leave things out, you forget about them. Especially since right now I'm in the basement, and so the little basement goblin frickin' forgot about it, and I let them dry out way too much, and so now they're kind of hard. So I can't be as like loose and fluid and fun. Like for my videos, sometimes it's really nice to have the clay really nice and soft, right? Because then I can like do some funky things with how I'm throwing, you know? Okay. But you can see like here I got this pillar. Like if you push it over to the side, it still stays on center. And so the clay, right, wants to move wherever there's not clay already. And so you'll see a lot of potters, they'll tilt their hand like that, right? And then the clay just wants to glide down more. It's the problem is once you have clay that's really stiff, it actually wants to rip and tear more so than what it wants to like move, right? And so there's kind of a balance in between it. Again, Take that up. And a lot of people think that you need two hands to like center, but look at my elbow here. My elbow locked into my body. I'm clamping down on that. Where's my sponge at here? Wait, what the heck? Where is my sponge actually? Did I drop it? Wait, guys, what the hell? Oh, there it is. I don't even remember setting it over here. Here, I'll get this back up. But you can really do centering with one hand as long as you clamp your elbow into your body here, right? And so here I am, I'm pushing that elbow down, a little bit of water, and then you're using your body weight again to center the clay. You don't even need to use your other hand. And so here we are, pushing this down. Okay. One of these days, guys, I'm gonna get the audio on those my little commercials nice and cooking up for you guys. It's just really a shame that they're not playing any audio. One of these days. One of these days. Okay. Push that. Okay, open this up. You know what? I think I need some more music, guys. I feel like the music isn't loud enough. Alright. Let's focus up here on this last one. Alright, opening up that clay. Dragging my fingers along this edge here. Nice, look at that. Pushing those down. So I got a little air bubble. Okay, again, taking our fingers and we're just clawing that out. Right? Ever so slightly, that's all we need. Okay. Again. You're gonna feel it's not gonna get perfectly centered every time, right? And a lot of people will fixate over that, but we don't need to, don't like sacrifice so much efficiency just so you can get the perfect centered object. Sometimes, you know, yesterday I was making the reference, I was like, you know, it's kind of like you're Icarus and you don't want to fly too close to the sun, you know? So that's kind of my dealio with that is, what I mean is, like sometimes if you have the perfect centered object, you end up trying to take it to its like a little bit too tall or a little bit too this, and then you end up flying too close to the sun. For me, I kind of like that intensity, right? But I think for most potters when they're first starting, they don't want to be like have this perfect object and have it collapse, right? Oh, somebody asked me another question. How'd you come up with the design you wanted? Oh, yo, that's actually a really nice. I don't know if I have a pot over here that has the twist really, which is a shame. Do I really not have a single one? Well, I guess this is kind of from that series, but it's not really a good example. Here. Sorry, let me go over here and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's see, what do we got? I think that this one is probably the closest one I have to this whole series, but like there was a while, this is when I was like really early on throwing, right? And there was a while where I was making these cups, right? And they have these like little like feet on the bottom of them, right? Like they're these little, essentially it's like, you know how I did the little tendril swirly things on the bottom? I call that the skirt of the pot, right? And the skirts, they were just a way that I could avoid trimming, and so you can see the bottom. I don't know if you can see the lines. Maybe I can show you on my top head camera. right, all these lines, is I would do untrimmed pots. And so that was all just an idea for me to start, you know, experimenting with how to do the bottoms of things. And then I was like, well, you know what, I got to start making like really tall vessels. And let's see if I have any of those ones. But I mean, they first started with like a spiral. I'll have to bring down some of those one of these days. I don't really have any too great examples. I might have one cup though that was sometimes there's just too much to look at. This is kind of this thing that inspired me, right? Like if you look at this thingy, right, there's like this little like tree top on it, right? And so I was really thinking about what's the opposite of a pot that you see nowadays. And the opposite in my mind was, okay, have a really small, and that's why that squeezing happens, that swirling and that tension, that twist, is because it's the opposite of a normal pot that goes out and has a big belly, right? Has a big belly and then goes narrow to the top, right? And so I wanted the exact opposite. Okay, maybe this is too loud now. I wanted to have the opposite. I wanted to have a really, really tight condensed middle, and then it kind of splay out and get it released towards the top. So that's the whole inspiration for the pots. But it took me a while to find them out, and you know, these are just one idea. I mean, I just told myself I got to make these for a year, and then I will, you know, and then I'll like change it up. Okay. Here we go. And the clay is really stiff on this top part, and so whenever you collar this top in, you actually want to start below your initial spot there, right? Okay. You never want to start right at it, because when you go back to the bottom and pull pull it up, your hand will go into the same channel where you messed up. And so I always say you want to start below where you messed up at, right? Or a collar or anything really. Remember, take that bump all the way up to the top there. Nice, look at that. So there we got another nice pull there. And I'm gonna go to the bottom here, and then I'm just gonna push that clay down, right? So instead of trimming, I'm just gonna push that down, and that bottom little skirt, you know, it was kind of funny how it came to be, because it was like, usually I would just cut this stuff off right on the bottom. And then I was like, well, no. The things that most people see that don't have potential, I want to see potential in there, and I want to make a form out of it, right? And so it's kind of my little way to add just add something to the pots that I think people are missing out on. I could probably get some of the water out of the inside here. Okay, here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we want to just make sure we're not going too crazy here. I can already feel that this is too thin in some spots, and so I want to emphasize this middle down part here. And so I got a little bit of a rip there, you saw. That's okay, because we really just want to make sure this top, I can already tell that it's going to be a little bit wobbly when it collapses, but again, we're just slowly buckling this out, and when we get to the top here, we slow the wheel down. And so this one didn't really collapse too much on this middle, so I'm going to manually kind of twist it down. And so that's all you do, you know, wipe your hands off. Clay's stiff enough for me to hold it, and I just let it spin, you know, as it, and then there you go, you got the twist. And so that's kind of how I do it when the clay, that usually it happens when the clay is just way too stiff, right? And so here I go back on the bottom. And I think what we'll do on this bottom part, we'll do another little carving for you guys on this bottom part. A little bit of water on there. Look at that. Nice. Sick. Okay. Then I'm going back in with my wire tool here. I'm going to go right on the side. I want to make them longer, so we're going to go cut across, out. Maybe we'll get 4 out of this. Cut across, out. Right? Cut across, out. Then cut across, out. So now we have 4 I call these the tendrils, right? You can already see the pot's kind of dipping down on one side, right? I take the tendrils and I just curl them up the sides of the pots. And the longer the tendrils, the taller that you can push the thing. And it's so wet, it kind of just is tacky, so it'll stick right where you want it to. You can't go too thin or too tall because the top's going to shrink faster than the bottom is, right? Just because it's thinner. And that's just naturally what happens, especially since I leave them on the wheel or leave them on the bat, right? That's this thing that I take off. And so here we go, curling this up. Looks nice, great. Push that in. Again, I curl this up. Look at that curl. Nice. Cool. So I take a little bit of time and I sort of adjust on this bottom part here. And then I have something cool on this bottom part, you know. I think one of these days I really want to get the just the camera working in a better format for you guys. It'll happen one of these times. And so you can see it's starting to collapse. Alright, so now I got to set up for the thumbnail here. Because after I make all these pots, I just make a video. You know, so we have that one there. I make a video with all the content that I made in here. So there we go. We can have that there like that. Sweet. And then I got a little Lazy Susan up here with this. And I'll take the last one. And so these were the 3 that we made today, y'all. And I do 3 every day. That's my system, you know. Huh, you can't really see that at all. Okay, maybe I gotta take this one off. Maybe this will look better when I have it like this. That's not too bad, right? Okay. So those are the 3 from today. Take my little sponge here. I just dip it in here and I rinse off my hands. And again, guys, apologize that I can't get the audio working for you guys for the stream on the things. But you'll see me over here in a second. And I actually think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get this in focus for you guys. There we go. And then I got an extra battery up here. So you guys can't really see that. This is the only problem about my setup right now, is that the camera that I use here, right? It's still battery, like even though it's like I can't plug it in and charge it as I have the camera running. So that's like that's the one problem. And we just don't want to make sure we get no clay on it. The battery part, that is. We'll push that back up in there. There we go. We'll take this battery. Whoops. Sometimes with the head camera I get a little bit dizzy. That shit is so cool. The one on the left looks clean, but I like the one you just made. Yeah, the one I just made I think is the coolest out of this batch. Like I really think the one I just made, I call it the tendrils. Those are those little veins. I think those look like freaking stellar. Let's see if I can get this green screen back. What is the... Oh yeah, that is it. Okay, so watch this. You thought that was cool, right? Now I'm here. Now I'm here chilling out right next to the pots. I think this is like my favorite part about the whole entire system, is that I can just chill out like on the next to all the stuff I have. I guess it's over here. So I gotta make sure I don't, I guess I can crawl out of here a little bit. Like I'm like an animal. I'm a little weird, but that's good. But yeah, well, here's ones I have for today. What's your name, by the way? I didn't even. Devin Bryant. All right. Yo, Devin, hey, thank you so much, man, for like watching our person. I don't really know, but anyway, thank you so much for, you know, watching the video and stuff. You know, I'll say stay hard, because you know the David Goggins reference. And then there's one thing I say at the end of every single one of my little videos or streams, is I say all the best and strong mentality.